Allah is my heart's speech, your mercy is what I beseech. Keep in my heart your remembrance, and in your deen allow me to advance. Help me in my quest, permit me to pass the ultimate test. Help me in my quest, permit me to pass the ultimate test.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome to a new live edition of our program Ask Huda. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillah wa salatu wa salamu ala nabiyhi wa mustafa wa ba'd. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guide us to what is best. May Allah grant us the useful knowledge and grant us the ability to act upon it. Ameen. We have the contact information, the phone numbers beginning with the area code 002, then 0238555132. Alternatively, same area code, then 0100546933. And also you can post your questions on my page, Dr. Muhammad Salah Official. And I highly encourage the viewers to drop their questions via the calls. We do not charge any fees for that. It's only your phone call in order to keep this program live as usual. The first question we have from Nazir Land. Sister Land says, does a normal vaginal discharge break wudu? Yes, it does break the wudu, even though it doesn't require washing off the person's private part. So the discharge itself is not necessarily impure. It is tahir. But because whatever comes out of as-sabilain, out of the two private parts, require washing the body parts, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala stated in Surah Al-Ma'idah, يَا أَيُّهَا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا إِذَا قُمْتُمْ إِلَى الصَّلَاةِ فاغسلوا وجوهكم وأيديكم إلى المرافق وامسحوا برؤوسكم وأرجلكم إلى الكعبين. So in this case it requires wudu only. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. We have Brother Shuga from United Arab Emirates. Assalamu alaikum and welcome to the program.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah, Sheikh. Sheikh, how are you?
I'm doing fine, alhamdulillah. Thank you for asking.
Sheikh, I am 13 years old and I had some questions, Sheikh.
Go ahead.
Some questions, Sheikh.
Yes, go ahead, Shuga. I'm listening.
Yeah. Sheikh, the first question is like, Sheikh, I go to coaching and then there I miss Salat al-Maghrib. So, like, can you make it in before Isha prayer?
Okay. Where do you go to? Class?
Yeah, I go to coaching and because of that I miss Salat al-Maghrib. So can you pray it before Isha prayer or after?
What do you actually attend which makes you miss Maghrib on time?
Yeah.
What is it?
So I miss my Salat al-Maghrib. So when can you make it up?
Shuga, I heard your question. I want to understand the reason why do you miss the Maghrib prayer?
Sheikh, 1 minute, Sheikh. Yes, Sheikh.
Okay. Again, can you hear me now?
Yes, Sheikh.
Can you hear me? Tell me if you can hear me. It's obvious that you can hear me. Okay. If you can convey, if you can ask him to continue presenting his other questions, I will appreciate that. Okay. In either case, he's saying that he goes to either coaching or class or whatever, and he misses the Maghrib prayer. When can he make it up? Can he pray it before Isha? Fact number one, that Allah the Almighty says in Surah An-Nisa, إِنَّ الصَّلَاةَ كَانَتْ عَلَى الْمُؤْمِنِينَ كِتَابًا مَوْقُوتًا. So Allah the Almighty has ordained the 5 daily prayers to be offered on their fixed times. Each prayer has a time which is extended until the time of the following prayer, with the exception of Fajr. Alhamdulillah. Assalamu alaikum, Brother Shuga. He's back on the line.
Walaikum assalam.
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yeah. Sheikh,
Okay.
I missed Salat al-Maghrib because I was studying in the coaching, and then it's hard to ask them, like, can you go to for Salah and all.
Okay, I got your question. This is what I thought. Do you have any other questions, Shuja'?
Yeah, one more question, Sheikh. What's the ruling on killing a spider?
On what?
On killing a spider.
Killing a spider. Okay.
Sheikh, that's it.
Okay, thank you, Shuja'. Barakallah feek, and thank you for calling. So with regards to his first question, the ayah of Surah An-Nisa, إن الصلاة كانت على المؤمنين كتابا موقوتا. We must offer each prayer on its fixed time, and the prayer has a fixed time, beginning and end. Assalamu alaikum. Shavin from Bangladesh. Assalamu alaikum, Shavin.
Walaikum salam, Sheikh. How are you?
Doing fine, thank you for asking.
Sheikh, I have a question about divorce. I'm married for 9 years and I have a 7-year-old daughter. Due to some family issues, I have some argument with my husband, and in the moment of argument, as we shout at each other, and from the anger, my husband issued me talaq. And it happens 4 to 5 times in our 9 years marital life.
How many
but,
times?
We didn't have any idea. Hello?
How many times?
I can't understand. It's a sound problem. Can you say this again?
How many
Hello?
times did he give you divorce?
He said 4 to 5 times, different periods. He issued me talaq. And as we didn't have any idea about the divorce law in English.
Go ahead, I'm listening.
Hello?
Yes, I can hear you. I hear you. Go ahead.
Yeah, as that time we didn't have any idea about divorce law in Islam or in Sharia. But nowadays we come to know about the Sharia law, and it made both of us so depressed. And I want to know, as he issued me talaq 4 to 5 times in different periods, but he had no intention, and from the extreme anger he issued talaq. Is that this talaq happened, or is,
okay, I
want to know about.
Okay, I got your question.
Hello?
I got your question, Sister Shavin. Thank you. And also, I'd like to alert our director that the sound is not working on the Facebook page. I hope that they can fix it, inshallah. So, Sister Shavin, inshallah, I'll answer your question once I'm done with answering Shuja''s couple questions. So, what allows a person to miss a prayer is the following reasons. Number one, if the person was asleep and did not deliberately choose to sleep or oversleep, rather he, didn't wake up unwillingly. So in this case, he's not blameworthy. Forgetfulness, likewise. So Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam said in the sound hadith, "Man nama an salatin aw nasiyaha فليؤدها متى ذكرها لا كفارة لها إلا ذلك." What does it mean? If you happen to oversleep, if you happen to forget about a prayer, then you must make it up once you wake up, once you remember, and there is no other ransom for it besides making it up. Great. Now, a person who has a class, a person who has training, coaching, whatever, in this case, these are not legitimate reasons. You excuse yourself to attend the prayer on time. Sickness, traveling, emergencies, danger allows you to combine the two prayers of Maghrib and Isha at the time of either one of them, either at the time of Maghrib or at the time of Isha. So somebody is sick, somebody is traveling, you don't have to pray Maghrib right on time. Basically, whenever it is Isha time and you're ready to pray, you can make wudu and pray Maghrib and Isha together at the time of Isha, or you can pray them together at the time of Maghrib and you get through with it. Same thing with Dhuhr and Asr. But because you're attending a training or you're attending whatever, you have to excuse yourself and offer the prayer on time. إن الصلاة كانت على المؤمنين كتابا موقوتا. Earlier I mentioned there are some valid excuses, such as if you're taking exam and you are in the exam room and you're not allowed to leave. That's understood. So in this case, the Prophet ﷺ gave you a concession where he once combined the prayers in order to teach the ummah that he was not even traveling. There was no heavy rain. Due to other similar circumstances, you're permitted to combine the prayers. A surgeon who is operating and he got tied up in the cases, he may combine the prayers. A patient who's gone into the checkup and he didn't have a chance to combine the prayers. There are many reasons. But to take it as a tradition, you just pray Maghrib with the Isha whenever you get through your class or coach. And sometimes maybe you're saying the coach, you mean that in the bus. Okay? So if you reach before Isha and you still have a few minutes to pray Maghrib, no problem. That too is valid. Even though the ideal case is to pray on time, at the earliest time of each prayer. But sometimes you're tied up in the transportations, for instance. Now, if the person has no choice but to pray in the bus because he's stuck in the bus, he's stuck in the train, okay, and it's not a travel distance, he's not a musafir, you may actually attend the prayer in the bus. If you can't stand up, stand up. If you can't, then pray while you are in your seat. And your ruku' will be, your sujood will be further lower than your ruku'. May Allah accept from all of us. Killing spider is okay, especially that these insects are harmful and their presence at home is not healthy, so killing them is not a sin. That's perfectly fine, either spraying them or killing them. Our dear sister who called from Bangladesh and said that they had some argument, she and her husband, which resulted in that he divorced her 4 to 5 times, separate times. She said that we were unaware of the divorce law in Sharia, and accordingly we came to realize that 4 and 5 times that we must be separated. I understand from you that you guys were Muslims at the time of marriage and during the divorces. If this is the case, then whether you knew it or you did not know it, it doesn't give you an excuse that you did not know. Talaq is effective whether you knew it or you did not know it. Why not? Or why is it effective? It is simply there are things which are necessary for every Muslim to know. Every Muslim must learn how to pray. And every Muslim who prays must learn that in order to pray, you gotta make wudu. And in order to make wudu, you gotta wash and do istinja, wash your privates after answering the call of nature. If somebody years later says, well, I didn't know that, he's blameworthy, she's blameworthy. A boy and a girl who are having an outside marriage relationship and they say, we didn't know that, it's illegitimate. This is known as ma'lumun min ad-dini bil-darura. This is like the basic necessary knowledge for every person to understand. Somebody who's making wudu and didn't, for years he used not to wash his arms. He would only wash his wrists. And he would say, well, subhanallah, I didn't know. All the prayers of the past years when you didn't wash your arms are invalid. Why they are not invalid? Because you didn't perform wudu. Is this an excuse because you didn't know? No, it is not an excuse because you did not bother to learn the basic knowledge of the deen. What does it mean, Sheikh? In this case, Sister Shiva, the divorce is effective, and it has been effective from day one. Unless if you guys are reverts and these divorces took place before Islam, that's a different story. Please let me know. But if these divorces 4 or 5 times, it's, let's say that even 1 divorce effective, 2 effective, 3 effective. And in this case, you guys are not allowed to live together. I'm so sorry to tell you that. But your relationship is not a husband and wife relationship in Islam. It's an illegitimate relationship. Based on what? The Almighty Allah says in the Quran, in the ayah which regulates the process of divorce. الطلاق مرتان فإمساك بمعروف أو تسريح بإحسان. Surah Al-Baqarah. So the person, the husband, has two divorces which are known as raj'i or revocable. Within the iddah, he can reconcile with his wife, he can change his mind, and that doesn't require neither a new marriage contract, dowry, or the consent of the guardian. After the second divorce, if he dares to say you're divorced again while in his full senses, then the third divorce is irrevocable. فإن طلقها فلا تحل له من بعد حتى تنكح زوجا غيره فإن طلقها فلا جناح عليهما أن يتراجعا إن ظنا أن يقيما حدود الله. What do we have here? We have a very complicated case. If a person divorced his wife the third time, he doesn't have any right to take her back. Not even with a new marriage contract. That's irrevocable. Oh, but both of us, we like to reconcile. No problem. But this is not going to happen easy. Why not? The requirement in this case that you guys are absolutely forbidden for each other, unless if you happen to marry somebody else. A complete legitimate marriage with consummating the marriage, not just a game that you agree with somebody you're going to marry on papers, then you divorce me. No, a complete marriage life. And if you got divorced and after the iddah, your first ex-husband is interested in marrying you and you're interested in marrying him, we'll start the whole process from the scratch. We're saying this to alert the young couples who marry without recognizing the responsibilities. Sometimes the wife is the one who urges the husband. If there is the least quarreling or argument, simply she says what she hears in the movies and the series, divorce me, I hate you, I can't live with you anymore. Okay, you can say whatever. But when you say divorce me, maybe you're saying it out of emotions. You don't understand the package of divorce and what does divorce come with. It comes with a very heavy package, especially when there are kids involved. So one has to watch what he says. That's why it wasn't given to the woman to say you're divorced and the husband will be divorced and the marriage will collapse. It was given to the man because he is qayyim. He's a protector. He's a guardian. He is the leader of the caravan. He's the family father. He's the one who perceives the responsibility and watches for what he says before he utters it. He understands this is no joke. And in Islam, when somebody says that I didn't really mean it, I didn't have an intention. For divorce, whether you mean it or you don't, when you say to your wife, you're divorced, no, I was just threatening her, that's a divorce. It counts first time. Second time, I was joking. She said that you won't dare to divorce me. Okay, you're divorced. It's a second time. Third time, you know, we had an argument outside. I took her out for dinner and there was a problem. So she said, divorce me. I said, you're divorced. I did the third time, over. The husband must be educated if he doesn't know about the responsibility before uttering that word. May Allah make it easy and guide all of us. Would you please let me know how is the audio now? Those who are watching us live on the Facebook page, would you please let me know how is the sound? Okay, good, alhamdulillah. Barakallahu fikum. طيب, Abdul Wahab, could you please give me a satisfying answer for the question on praying Tahiyatul Masjid while the Imam is giving the sermon? Yeah, basically there is a hadith, a sound hadith. It's about a companion by the name Sulaik al-Ghatafani, may Allah be pleased with him. He said, I entered the masjid and the Prophet was giving the Friday sermon. So I sat down. So Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, he addressed him by the name. He said, oh Sulaik, have you prayed yet? he means before you sit down. Because we all know that it's an emphatic sunnah not to sit down every time you enter the masjid unless you pray. Whether there is a fardh prayer, missed prayer that you're making it up, or a sunnah before or sunnah after the fardh prayer, or if you don't have any of that, you don't sit down before praying what is known as the 2 rak'ahs of Tahiyyatul Masjid, or the greeting for the masjid. So I said, have you prayed yet? He said, no. Well, he assumed that if the Prophet is given the speech, everybody should be quiet and you sit down. He would be looking odd to get up and pray by himself. So he sat down and he didn't pray. So the Prophet ﷺ said, get up and pray. So he got up and he prayed the 2 rak'ahs. Okay, some of the commentators of hadith said, oh, but the Prophet ﷺ did not really say to Sulaik, get up and pray, because of the 2 rak'ahs of the sunnah. Sulaik al-Ghatafani was a very poor companion, and he looked, in his very weary clothes, that the Prophet ﷺ wanted the companions to look at him in this humble condition, and eventually somebody may donate for him an outfit. Okay, we agree. But guess what? It happened. And some of the companions gave him clothes, and now he has 2 outfits. Next Jumu'ah, Sulaik al-Ghatafani radiyallahu anh came to the Jumu'ah, and again late while the Prophet was giving the khutbah, and he sat down. So the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam asked him, have you prayed yet? He said, no. He said, get up and pray. So now your reasoning isn't really valid, because in the second khutbah, second Jumu'ah, when Sulaik was wearing a new outfit which was donated for him, there was no need for the Prophet ﷺ to alert the companions to his needy condition, which means it was basically about praying Tahiyatul Masjid even if the Khatib is giving the sermon. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Saada from Nigeria.
Hello?
Yes, assalamu alaikum.
Hello? Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. I just want to find out, can you hear me?
I hear you, but you
Hello?
need to turn off all the sound on your
Okay.
TV station.
Okay. I just want to find out about the ruling about making wudu while you're in a state of menstruation.
Okay, got your question, sister. Barakallahu fiki.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Obviously, whenever a woman is experiencing her menses, this condition is known as major impurity, okay, or janaba. Janaba because you stay away from certain acts, such as you don't have sexual relations while you are in the menses, you don't enter the masjid, you don't pray, you don't fast, you avoid many things. So while in a state of janaba, if you don't pray, then it's not required to make wudu. It is not required to make wudu. You don't even perform tawaf. So it is not required. But performing wudu in either case is a praiseworthy act. But is it required? Is it sunnah to perform it while you are in the menses? No, none of the above. So why did I say that it is recommended? In the hadith, the Prophet, peace be upon him, after having an intimate relationship, sexual relationship with his wife, and before going to sleep, now after having sexual relations, you are in a state of what? Major impurity. That gives you the same ahkam like a woman who's having the menses. Okay? A man and a woman are alike in this regard. But the Prophet ﷺ would not go to sleep right away. He would perform wudu. He would perform wudu, even though it is not required. And it doesn't lift any impurity, neither major nor minor, because already the person is in a major impurity which requires ghusl. So in this case, I would say it is okay to perform wudu every now and then, especially like if you're going to sleep, but it does not lift any impurities because you're already experiencing the janaba of the menses, which after you finish your menses, you perform ghusl with the intention of lifting that major impurity. My dear brothers and sisters, let's take a short break and we'll be back inshallah in a few minutes. Please stay tuned.
fastest-growing humanitarian crisis as thousands of Rohingya refugees.
The Rohingya Muslims from Myanmar, a stateless ethnic minority, often.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. This is Ali Ahmed with An-Nawawi Institute. We are a learning center that is involved in the humanitarian aid projects here in Malaysia. An-Nawawi Institute has been involved with the plight of the Rohingya refugees since 2014. With the support of the community, An-Nawawi Institute organizes occasional food drives whereby we distribute food packages consisting of rice, oil, and flour to the Rohingya refugees here in Malaysia. Our aim now is to raise 250,000 ringgits for the Rohingya refugees at Tumburu camp near the Gundum border. This will be used to provide food packages for 3 months per family, 25 tents, build 5 water pumps, and blankets for the refugees there.
Scholars are the transmitters of the religion of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. They carried his message and his legacy generation after another. And they are the one who carried this light to the whole world. The Life of the Muslim Scholars is a new series on Huda TV. Through studying their life and exploring many aspects of their lives, we will come to learn so many lessons, get motivated and inspired by their stories, by their dedication for Islam and for the legacy of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Through this series, I hope that we will be able, inshallah ta'ala, to get motivated not to achieve only success in the akhirah, but in dunya as well. Join me, Walid Basyuni, in this new series on Huda TV about the life of the Muslim scholars. Looking forward having you. Stay tuned.
We are on air again. Glad tidings to Huda TV viewers worldwide for the resumption of live broadcasting on NowSat. We are now broadcasting on the advanced DVB-S2 system. Tune in using our new frequency, 12188 horizontal on NowSat. Please note, you will need to have a modern HD receiver in order to tune in. Enjoy your favorite edutainment programs with crystal clear resolution. Huda TV, a light in every home.
The Book of Allah, the miraculous words of Allah, the light in the midst of all darknesses, has so many rights on us. And because of that, we initiated Quran Circle. In Quran Circle 1, we listened to the entire Quran. This was a great blessing.
وَقُرْآنًا فَرَقْنَاهُ لِتَقْرَأَهُ عَلَى النَّاسِ عَلَى مُكْثٍ وَنَزَّلْنَاهُ تَنزِيلًا.
The Quran is both concise and comprehensive. It has all aspects of guidance to all mankind. And because of that, in Quran Circle 2, we selected verses in every juz with a specific topic. We listened to the recitation and we reflected upon the meaning of that specific topic.
الله نور السماوات والأرض مثل نوره كمشكاة فيها مصباح.
Each surah in the Quran, every chapter of the Quran has an objective. We looked into the objectives of the surahs that we chose and selected in Quran Circle 3.
لينذر من كان حيا ويحق القول على الكافرين.
Brothers and sisters, take advantage of this opportunity. Get your mushafs, open it, follow with us with the recitation. We will choose surahs in the Quran for us to reflect upon. So let's take advantage of this.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome back. Our contact information should appear on the bottom of the screen. Many questions, mashallah. Grace Loriana, Sister Grace, is saying Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. I just want to ask if a Muslim can help a needy Christian, especially when he is my son. Yes, indeed. And whether he is your son or even if he's not related to you. So helping non-Muslims is praiseworthy and you will be rewarded for that, and that is stated in the Quran and in many ahadith. In the Quran, I can quote a few references quickly for the sake of time. Number one, in Surah Al-Insan, Allah the Almighty said, وَيُطْعِمُونَ الطَّعَامَ عَلَى حُبِّهِ مِسْكِينًا وَيَتِيمًا وَأَسِيرًا. Not only the son, not only the relatives, even non-Muslims who happen to be enemies, if they have been captured by Muslims, we are recommended to look after them, to feed them if they are in need, prisoners of war. Then in Surah An-Nisa, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in the marvelous ayah of وَاعْبُدُوا اللَّهَ وَلَا تُشْرِكُوا بِهِ شَيْئًا وَبِالْوَالِدَيْنِ إِحْسَانًا وَبِذِي الْقُرْبَى وَالْجَارِ ذِي الْقُرْبَى وَالْجَارِ الْجُنُبِ وَالصَّاحِبِ بِالْجَنْبِ وَابْنِ السَّبِيلِ وَمَا مَلَكَتْ أَيْمَانُكُمْ. The reference is in الْجَارِ الْقُرْبَى وَالْجَارِ الْجُنُبِ وَالصَّاحِبِ بِالْجَنْبِ. It classified neighbors into three categories. A neighbor who has three rights, who happen to be a Muslim and a relative neighbor. So the right of Islam, the right of relationship and the kinth, and the right of the neighborhood. And there are neighbors who may be non-Muslims. They're not even relatives. And their rights are stated in the Quran. Non-Muslim neighbors, subhanallah. And we quoted before the ayat لا ينهاكم الله عن الذين لم يقاتلوكم في الدين ولم يخرجوكم من دياركم أن تبروهم وتقسطوا إليهم إن الله يحب المقسطين. So as long as this person, number one, if he's a neighbor, if he is a relative, if he is a co-worker, he is in need. Even if he is non-Muslim, help them out. The question is, will I be rewarded for that? Yes, indeed, you will receive a reward for that. The only concern is as long as this is not from the zakah fund, because a zakah is exclusively for poor Muslims. Barakallahu feekum. Jazakumullahu khairan, Sister Grace, for your question, and may Allah guide your son to the deen. Shahab Poppy says, my mother says that Malvis, I believe that he means the Maulanas, make their own interpretation of Quran, and that deters her from reading the Quran. What should I do? She may be right in one thing, that when some people dare to give an interpretation of the Quran according to their own understanding. And in Islam, as a matter of fact, this is not allowed. At the time of the Prophet ﷺ, the Prophet and his companions have understood the Quran more than anybody else. And if there is anything that they did not grasp the full meaning of it, they would refer to the Prophet ﷺ and they would ask the Prophet, or he will explain it to them. So the Quran would explain the Quran. Some ayat would explain other ayat, and this is a lot in the Quran. Okay, you notice in the program of correct recitation, what I do is I basically say Abdullah ibn Mas'ud said, Abdullah ibn Abbas said, Ali ibn Abi Talib said, or Abu Musa al-Ash'ari said, narrating what they have transmitted to us from the Prophet about this ayah or this ayah. As far as personal interpretation, no, you don't have this right. You can bring another ayah to explain this ayah. This is common in the Quran. Why don't you just forget about the Malvis who are confusing you and read the earlier Mufassirin and their interpretation? It's an ayah explaining another ayah, or a hadith explaining another ayah. Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radiallahu anhu, who was the best of all the companions of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and the person who have witnessed most of the time with the Prophet more than any other companion, more than even his wives, said, where can I find a heaven to shelter me or an earth to bear me if I dare to speak on the Quran on my own, like give my personal interpretation? You know, this is not something that any person dares to speak about. So if any person says, I think this ayah means, I say, no. And when I'm asked, and I maybe have forgotten what the Mufassirin have said, the interpreters of the Quran, transmitting what the companions and what the Prophet said about it, if I have forgotten, if I'm not sure, I pause. I'll find out. When there are people who are messed up, why would that deter you from reading the Quran? That should encourage you to read the Quran and read the meaning of the Quran from the real books, from the mothers of the books. Read, if you wish, Tafsir Ibn Kathir, and since you speak English, there is the English interpretation, which is known as the abridged Tafsir of Ibn Kathir. May Allah bless those who have translated this marvelous work of Tafsir Ibn Kathir, rahimahullah. Okay? Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Sister Camelia Samidon says, is it wrong to display on the interior walls the photos of the Kaaba and Al-Masjid al-Nabawi? Absolutely not. No problem whatsoever. I know that there are some people who like to make everything haram. They make people's life miserable, and everything easy, they turn it into difficult. That's not really the way that Islam teaches us. So if you want to hang the pictures of the Masjid al-Nabawi or the Kaaba and Tawaf and all of that is permissible, and it brings good emotions and good memories, of course. Noor Gona says, I live in Malaysia and I love Malaysia. So you live in Malaysia and I love Malaysia. Dua Qunut here is recited in the morning prayer. Yes, I know. After ruku', Imam raises his hand and starts until وَقِنَا شَرَّ مَا قَضَيْتَ, then he stops. The people behind complete the rest. Is that okay? Okay, let's start from the scratch. With regards to the qunut, which is al-qunut has couple meanings. One which means the long standing in the prayer. وَقُومُوا لِلَّهِ قَانِتِينَ, with khushu', stand up properly and recite a long recitation. And the specific meaning is to make the supplication in the prayer, such as the qunut of the witr after rising up from the ruku', or before making ruku' and the last rak'ah of witr, or if you pray witr one rak'ah by itself, that's called qunut. You or the Imam raises the hands and say, Allahumma hdina fi man hadayt wa afina fi man afayt. The hadith which is narrated by Al-Hasan ibn Ali, may Allah be pleased with him and his father. Then there is a qunut which you see it in some countries, not in all countries. In some countries which follow the Shafi'i madhab, they do qunut only in the Fajr prayer. Is that legitimate? In fact, there is a difference of opinion. There is a very valid difference of opinion. We have not only Imam Shafi'i, by the way, Imam Malik as well. So two Imams believe that it is sunnah, not a wajib, to make qunut, to make supplication after rising up from ruku'ah. And on what basis they decided that it is recommended to make such qunut? Because there is a hadith collected by Imam Ahmad, narrated by Anas ibn Malik, that the Prophet ﷺ used to continuously make qunut in the Fajr prayer until he died. But because this hadith, and it's a Hasan hadith, but because this hadith is explained by other companions and other ahadith that the Prophet ﷺ used to make qunut, and it wasn't only for Fajr, it was only during the 5 daily, it was also during the 5 daily prayers out loud, but it was for a whole month that he ceased. When he was making supplication against certain people who have done a lot of mischief on earth. Okay. So Imam Abu Hanifa and Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal, two great respected Imams, they resorted to the understanding of the Sahaba and many of the scholars and the hadith of Abu Hurairah that he used not to make qunut only in Fajr. Rather, that's called qunutun nawazil. Whenever there is a dilemma, whenever there is a crisis. So the Prophet ﷺ used to make qunut in the last rak'ah of each prayer of the 5 daily prayers upon rising up from ruku', and the qunut would be very specific. Oh Allah, destroy so and so, take care of so and so, save so and so, and so on. Imam al-Shafi'i and Imam Malik are of the view that it is sunnah in Fajr prayer because of the hadith of Anas. So Imam Shafi'i was not wrong. Imam Malik wasn't wrong either. And with regards to Imam Shafi'i, he says to make it out loud, while Imam Malik to say it in your within yourself privately. The question is, if you are not following this madhab, and if you visited Malaysia, or if any of the Malaysian students came to study in Al-Azhar University or Medina University, and some of the students, kind of hot, when they go home, they want to change the whole nation overnight, and they mistakenly use awfully the term innovation. You are an innovator, and you are making a big innovation, and you do not pray behind this person because he's making an innovation. No, my dear students, do not exceed your limits. Continue to learn, and learn, number one, the importance of studying comparative fiqh. And as a matter of fact, when I go to Malaysia, or here in Egypt, or if I pray behind any imam who's making qunut in the Fajr prayer, I happily raise my hands and I say Ameen. Oh, how dare you do that? Don't you know that this is not sunnah? Okay. Do you like Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah? May Allah have mercy on him. If you like him, if you trust him so much, you better listen to what he says in this regard. He said, إذا اقتدى المأموم بمن يقنط في الفجر أو الوتر قنت معه سواء قبل الركوع أو بعده. Let me translate. If you are a follower and your imam is making qunut, whether in Fajr only or in Fajr and in Witr, and you are a follower, you don't believe that it's sunnah, it's not prescribed to make qunut after rising up from ruku' or before ruku', two different opinions. What do? Do you stand still as some of the youth do? No. Raise your hands and say Ameen behind the imam. Not only that, I'm going to surprise you. Even if the imam is raising the hands in some, like according to Imam Malik, they raise the hands but they make the qunut quietly. You use the term silently, so that the imam doesn't raise his voice. He's praying Fajr out loud, but when he makes the qunut, they raise their hands and he's standing for a few moments making dua, and the follower is not hearing that. So according to that, also if you are a follower, raise your hands and make dua. إنما جعل الإمام ليؤتم به. The imam was appointed to be followed. To be followed. Stop dividing the ummah. Not based on knowledge, based on prejudice. Based on prejudice. And wallahi, this is the beauty of studying comparative fiqh, to understand where the different scholars are coming from. إنما جعل الإمام ليؤتم به فلا تختلفوا عليه. Do not differ from the imam. Especially when you know that this hadith is Hasan and authenticated by Shaykh Albani, the hadith of Anas ibn Malik radiyallahu anhu, that the Prophet ﷺ used to make qunut after rising up from ruku' in Fajr. So if the imam is making qunut, make qunut. If he makes it out loud and he says, Allahumma hadina fi man hadayt, you say Ameen out loud. If he's making qunut silently, according to Imam Malik, you also make qunut to follow the hadith إنما جعل الإمام ليؤتم به فلا تختلفوا عليه. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept. Rana Yusuf, Sister Rana is having a couple questions. The first question is about inheritance of my stepson from my late father. Okay. From their late father. Okay. Now it makes sense. Okay. I have a saving in the bank with my name and my husband. May Allah have mercy on him. Now your late husband. Additional from his money to my account. Then he passed away. Shall his son have the right to take from it? The second question is, we have 2 flats and the other one is the one which I'm living in with my daughter. Shall we divide the inheritance for both flats? Very important question. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Abu Aisha from Sudan, last minute question. Abu Aisha, go ahead.
Ya Sheikh, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to Ask Huda, ya Abu Aisha.
Thank you very much, ya Sheikh. Barakallah fi.
The
question I wanted to ask is, for example, if I am traveling by air, like landing around 9 o'clock in the evening, in that case, which one is the best advice? Should I pray Maghrib and Isha on board the flight, or should I wait until I land? Because I have like another 2 hours before taking off again. What will be the best advice as to when should I pray the 2 prayer times?
Right.
And the second point I want is to ask you for dua for my brother who passed away yesterday.
Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. May Allah have mercy on him. What is his name, ya Aba Aisha? What is his name?
Alpha Juf. Alpha.
Alpha.
Now.
Alpha. His name was Alpha.
Yes.
Okay. My dear respected brothers and sisters, our viewer have lost his brother yesterday and he's asking us to make dua for him. His name was Alpha. May Allah have mercy on him. May Allah make his grave a garden of paradise and give him a better place in heaven. Ameen. May Allah forgive him all his sins. So when you say that somebody is in the flight and he's going to land at 9 p.m., what is the better or the best choice? To pray on board on the flight or when you land? I can answer this question easily by saying there is no better or best choice. There is only one choice. Isha time is over, which is couple hours. In this case, the only choice is to wait until you land, then you pray Maghrib and Isha together combined, what is known as Jama'a Ta'khir, at the time of the later prayer. Okay? Barak. In the Fard prayer. But because sometimes it is not feasible in the plane and the time of the prayer may be out, in this case you get to pray in the plane. You get to pray in the flight. And you don't have to stand up if you can't. And also, facing the Qibla would not be a problem you face, whichever direction is feasible. Well, my dear respected brothers and sisters, by that we've come. But before I wrap it up, I want to answer Rana's question. The question about the inheritance, it's a very important question. Okay? Simply when somebody dies, all his belonging, whether the bank account, the saving, the debt which he left with some people, the investment, the flat that some of his children are living in or one of his wives, everything is subject for inheritance. When your husband died, he had $100 in his suit and a gold watch and whatever, a valuable pen, something, a silver ring. You don't say, these are the belonging of my beloved husband, I'm going to keep them for me. Okay, everything will be put together and subject for inheritance. His sons, his daughters, his other wife, if he had more than one, his parents, all the heirs will get together. If you're interested in keeping one thing, it should be deducted from your share of the inheritance. The problem is with the joint account. Well, we're going to ask. Sometimes we make a joint account because of many reasons, a husband and wife, paperwork, but is the money which is in the joint account yours alone, his alone, or both of you, and you know your share versus his share? If you know your share versus his, then his share, even though now it's under your name, you got to take it out. Please, let's divide it, because it is not yours. If you know that the joint account, you're a housewife, you haven't been working, and it's all basically his money, and he used to deposit the money in the joint account for both of you to write the checks, then the entire balance is subject for inheritance. The flat you're living in, did he write it down in your name? Did he give it to you during his life? No, he didn't actually. Then it too will be subject for division during the inheritance. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guide us to what is best. My dear brothers and sisters, by that we've come to the end of today's edition of your program Ask Huda, and until next time I leave you all in the care of Allah. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Allah is my heart's speech, your mercy is what I beseech. Keep in my heart your remembrance, and in your deen allow me to advance. Help me in my quest, permit me to pass the ultimate test. Help me in my quest, permit me to pass the ultimate test. Allah is my heart's speech, your mercy is what I beseech. Keep in my heart your remembrance, and